Welcome back to The Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Continuing my conversation with Dick Morris, author extraordinaire, really one of the most astute political pundits out there. And, I wanted to mention, you were talking about, the problem with the Democrats, in terms of where they're incentivized. I wrote a book back in 1993 called Empowerment to the People, which talked about the fact that the Democrats are in the poverty business. They literally need more poor people in order to succeed financially. In fact, Tip O'Neill said the problem with the GI Bill is that it made a much more educated population who, once they become educated, they make more money and then they vote Republican.
Well, you look at Bill Clinton's administration, my old boss, 23 million new jobs, followed by 8 years of Republican rule. As the country gets richer, it gets more Republican. And as it gets poorer, it gets more Democrat. And Obama understands that. That's why, for example, Obamacare incentivizes part-time employment by saying to businesses that if you have more than 50 full-time employees, and full-time meaning they work more than 30 hours a week, you have to offer health insurance or pay a hefty fine. So every business is cutting back on its full-time employees and shifting people to part-time. So Obama claims he's created 8 million new jobs since he took office. The fact of the matter is that the number of Americans working full-time has dropped during his tenure from 114 million to 111 million. Those jobs he's created are almost all part-time jobs.
Yep, absolutely.
And he wants part-time jobs because they're lower income. He also disincentivizes marriage. The Democratic Party, is always into looser social and sexual mores and all of that. And now, as a result, 50% of Americans are unmarried. Adult Americans are unmarried. Half of those have never been married, half are widowed, divorced, or separated. And the point is, single households have much lower income than two-person households, two-income households, and therefore they're vastly more likely to vote Democratic. So that, except for gay marriage, the Democratic Party really doesn't want marriage.
Yeah. By the way, you're not the only one who is a great writer in the family. A lot of your work has been done with your wife, Eileen, and she's got an awesome website that I want to encourage people to check out called thehillarydaily.com. Everyone, of course, Hillary will enter this race as a front runner. I have a bizarre theory that someone like Cory Booker might end up getting the nomination, very similar to what happened with Barack Obama, because he's almost politically protected like Barack Obama was for a lot of reasons. But I love the site. Talk a little bit about it.
Yeah. Well, Eileen co-authors all my books with me. Steve Doocy and Fox and Friends once said, "How does that work?" And I said, "Well, Steve, a lot of people are patronizing and say I do the writing, she does the research. The fact is she writes half the book, and I write half the book, and then we exchange." And Steve said, "Does she ever say, 'Well, honey, I love you, but this isn't much good'?" And I said, "Well, Steve, she skips the first part." So,
you guys, got a good enough relationship where you don't have to say that part, right?
Right. Well, yeah. So Eileen has launched a new website called thehillarydaily.com. And if you go to it, you'll see it has every article you'd ever want to see, every fact of everything, development about Hillary. For example, right now, she has an analysis of how Madam Secretary, the TV series, is a whitewash of Hillary. I told Eileen I think Hillary's a better actress than the star of that show is.
Yeah.
And she has another article that I'll bet that nobody knows about, but she uncovered it. This month, Hillary is flying to Las Vegas to go to speech to Las Vegas University, for which she's being paid $250,000. The university is picking up her private jet out there, her private jet back, and her hotel expenses. But while she's there, she's going to give a speech for Harry Reid at a fundraiser. Normally, Reid would have to pick up a portion of the airfare and report it. But now Hillary is taking it from the corporate sponsor, who is probably illegally not reporting it as an in-kind campaign contribution. And she's doing this 8 events in September. So there's just a constant stream of material. Or, for example, in Hard Choices, her book, she gives an account of her opposition to the coup d'etat in Honduras, or in the beginning of Obama's term, which is completely at opposite with what she said at the time about the coup in Honduras. So there's stuff that you just don't know, and Eileen has it all in this site, and she updates it almost every hour. So it's called TheHillaryDaily.com. And the book is...
I love it. It's a great site.
Obama's dangerous plan for a one-party nation.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic book, as always. And, it agrees largely with my view, so... you know how we are when we agree with each other, and so absolutely, I think it's fantastic. So the direction this is happening, it seems to me that what seemed like 12 months ago a foregone conclusion, a very strong win for Republicans in the U.S. Senate. I don't think so. I'm not convinced. In fact, I'll be surprised if we walk out with a majority. What do you think?
I think right now, the trend has been pro-Republican lately, not anti. And I think that we are right now in the polling. We're ahead in 8 Senate seats currently held by Democrats. The 3 that are guaranteed, because Democrats retired and there are no good Democratic candidates, West Virginia, South Dakota, and Montana. Then there are 3 contested races with Democratic incumbents, where we're currently ahead of them: Arkansas, Louisiana, and Alaska. And then there are 2 races with one a Democratic incumbent, the other a Democrat retiree. And in both of them, we're either tied or slightly ahead. Most of the polls give us like a 1 or a 2-point margin, and that's Iowa and Colorado. And then there are 3 seats coming in behind them where we have deficits, but not large ones. We're very close. And in order of probability, they are North Carolina, New Hampshire, and Michigan. So it's 11 seats total. And I think at the moment, if the election were held right now, we'd probably pick up 8 of them. We need 6 for a majority. Do you have time for me to talk a little bit about Obamacare and how it's going to crash and burn?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Take a few minutes to do that for us.
This is not understood widely. The Obamacare statute says that you can only get subsidies if you enroll through a state exchange. But then the feds have ignored that and have taken anyone who enrolls through a federal exchange, 3/4 of the country does, and given them subsidies. So the Attorney General of Oklahoma sued and said the law says state, you can't give subsidies to people coming in through the feds. And the Oklahoma District Court this week ruled in his favor. And the circuit court, the appellate court, is a pretty conservative court. And my bet is that they will uphold that verdict. Now, in 2 other circuits, they've ruled against us. But when there's a conflict between the circuits, as there would be then, the Supreme Court has to accept jurisdiction because at that point there is no established law. And I believe that Roberts and Kennedy will vote against Obamacare this time because the issue isn't to dismiss its constitutionality or override the will of Congress. It's to enforce the will of Congress. Congress passed a law saying those who enroll through state exchanges can get subsidies. And in insisting that the law be taken at its word, they're just being strict constructionists and not imagining what the legislative intent might conceivably have been. If that happens, which I think it will, in 15 or early 16, Obamacare can't possibly function. It'll fall apart. You can't require people to buy health insurance and then make it unaffordable. So 10 or 12 million people will be thrown out of their subsidies and lose their insurance plans. And they are going to raise unshirted hell as the 2016 election approaches. What I think is going to happen then is that I believe the Republicans, if we win the Senate, will pass our own version of health care, which has already passed the House, and it's a pretty good one. It says you don't have to do anything, but if you want insurance and you can't afford it, we'll give you tax credits to help you buy it. And if you're really sick and really need it, we'll put you in Medicare, even if you're under 65. And I think they'll pass that and put it on Obama's desk. And he can't veto it because he can't say no to 12 million people who had insurance, who he kicked off who now are being kicked off the subsidies because they wrote the law in a sloppy way. So this is very exciting, and I think the Oklahoma decision combined with winning the Senate majority will really set this play up for us.
Interesting. By the way, if you go to dickmorris.com and if you put in Obamacare in your search engine, lots of great video commentaries are available to check that out. I encourage
and you can subscribe on dickmorris.com. And
I encourage the listener to do that. Let me ask you, Dick, how often do you do these? I'm sorry?
For subscribers, I send out a video every morning.
You do a video every morning?
Every morning. Subscribe at dickmorris.com. It's a 5-minute video about the...
You are a busy camper.
Saturday.
Man, that's incredible. Saturday, Congratulations. Well, I do a weekly article for the Huffington Post, and I'm very proud of myself. And then I see what you do. You embarrass me. But I love the great work that you do, and I appreciate it very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
DickMorris.com. Dick, I'd like to get you back on in the future, and especially with some post-election talk.
Next time in Texarkana.
There you go. Have a great day, sir.
Bye-bye.
All right, when we come back, much more for you. Do check out Dick Morris over there at dickmorris.com. Do check out Eileen Morris over at thehillarydaily.com. That's thehillarydaily.com. And stay tuned for more right here on The Price of Business.
Are you gonna do it? I know you qualify. Are you gonna do it?